All right, we are live. This is Sound Booth Theater Live. This is the cold reads for Dungeon Crawler Carl 6, Part 2. And yeah, there have been people in the chat already waiting for this to start, so glad to see you guys. Got some music here from the Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion tunnel, not called cinematic audio for legal reasons. Yeah, so glad to see so many people here. 55 in the audience at the moment. Tattoo round 2. So yeah, our next goal is 1,500. Our next goal is 1,500 viewers simultaneously. And when we hit that stretch goal, that will mean that you fans get have earned a tattoo design competition. So the way it'll work is whoever you are in the audience, if you are a good artist or a bad artist, or if you know a good artist, or if you know a good tattoo artist, most importantly, you can actually come up with a donut tattoo and you can submit it to us. That's if we hit 1,500 people viewing at the same time. So we hit our goal yesterday, 500, like before the stream even started. So I am officially getting a donut tattoo on my ass. But I'm going to make the decision. I'm going to be getting the design done on my own unless you guys reach this 1,500 viewer stretch goal. So go like, and actually someone brought up a good point. It is far too early right now, and I apologize for that. I usually don't start streams this early, but today I have an appointment in the middle of the afternoon, so I had to postpone, or I had to start it a bit early today. Anyway, Sound Booth Theater Live. That's where we're at. Prepotente goat screams to wake everybody up. I think Matt actually said there's only one goat scream in this entire book. So, any chance you finish up this book by Friday? Probably not. Probably not gonna happen. I would have to do some major meth, and Ahmed too, because he's producing for you guys. Yeah, it's unlikely. My water tastes weird. I'll be back. I'm gonna get more water. Guess I'm just gonna have to have weird tasting water. Who do you think should play Carl if it was a TV series? Annie Payne asks me. That's a really good question. I don't know. There's that Jack Reacher guy from the new TV show. He seems like he'd be a good fit. What about Chris Hemsworth? I don't know. If it, I would prefer that it were done in animation, but you know, if it had to be Amos from The Expanse, which one's Amos? Amos from The Expanse. Which one is he? Damn it. Do we have a timeline when to expect the audiobook? Yeah, so I'm hoping that we're going to get this submitted to ACX by the end of July. And that we'll be able to release the we'll put it up for pre-order Oh, that guy? Maybe. You know what was really funny about that show is they always remarked on how big he was, but he didn't seem very big. Like he didn't appear very big to me in the show. Um. Anyway, yeah. So timeline, like what we would like to do is submit it at the end of July and set the pre-order up so that the release of Dungeon Crawler Carl happens while Matt and I are in DragonCon or at DragonCon. So that would be August 31st. I think that's a good target. I think the motion, like, dude, with Hollywood, it's a coin flip, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've made some really great movies. Like, look at The Lord of the Rings, you know, as far as adaptations, like movies, TV shows. Um, there's good adaptations out there, so there's a chance. There's a chance for it to be good. Nicolas Cage, the flag was a little bigger than my hand, like one of those flags you give to kids to wave at a parade. Um, oh, thank you, that one dude for the compliment. Okay, so he's a Martian, right? He's stocky and wide. Maybe that's the way it works. So let's go ahead and jump right into this, guys. I don't know if Matt will be joining us today or not. He said it was a bit early for him, but he also said he wanted to make it. So just keep an eye out, and we'll be watching that view count. Now, we want 1,500, real quick before we get started, we do want 1,500 simultaneous viewers. If today's not the day, we have 4, 5 more cold reads after today for you guys to have an opportunity to make this happen. So, if you need to plan ahead a little bit more, I'm doing these live streams starting at noon each day, every day this week and next week. So today is the only one that it starts at 10 a.m. Also, before I get started, if you want to body shaming aliens, 5 minutes. Matt busy looking at DMs from all of the Rebeccas. That's good. I'm not gonna cold read the whole book. Just the first 30%. I was thinking about doing that, but that's just a bit much because the cold reads, when I'm hanging out and talking to you guys, I'm doing a stream. It does take me longer to narrate that way. Will you be releasing all the episodes on your website of the fully voiced version? I imagine you mean the audio immersion tunnel version, which is not called the cinematic audio version for legal reasons, which is a full cast, sound effects, and music. Yes, all of those episodes will be on the website. And Season 1 is going to start the day that DCC 6 releases. And the first episode is going to be free. It's going to be 8 episodes in the season, and it's just going to cover book 1. And if you guys like it, if you guys enjoy that show, we're going to start a season 2 next year. And next year, season 2, we're thinking we're going to combine books 2 and 3. So, yeah, guys, be sure to check out soundbooththeater.com. If you want to be kept up to date on that stuff. We have a newsletter there. We have Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon there, the cinematic audio version of that, full cast, sound effects, and music. That show is absolutely terrifying and disgusting, and I'm very proud of it. Matt Dinneman did an amazing job writing it, and I'm really glad I got to actually produce it. Ahmed here, our producer in the stream, is the sound effects guy for it. He's doing a lot of sound effects and music for Dungeon Crawler Carl's not cinematic audio for legal reasons, audio immersion tunnel thingy. So yeah, it's a whole lot of fun to go go to our website and check things out. We have our own app and everything. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like this video. Everything you can do to help us is appreciated. All right. Someone says, "Shut up and take my money." Do all the books that way. Yes, we're going to, as long as we are taking money. Oh, this new tunneled audio is still not even finished. Yeah, I'll answer that question once it is. All right, here goes. We're starting on Chapter 4, Dungeon Crawler Carl 6. Thank you all for coming. Please do get as many people in here as you can. We would like YouTube to know more about Dungeon Crawler Carl, and this is the way to do it. Chapter 4. Monsters collected, 0 of 6. The flag was a little bigger than my hand, like one of those flags you give to kids to wave at a parade. It was a miniature pair of heart-covered boxers. Not a flag with an image of boxers on it, but an actual pair of heart boxers flying sideways, like they were dangling off a clothesline. Embroidered onto the flag on the top and bottom was a motorcycle club-style patch that read, "Motorcycle Club Style." Embroidered onto the flag on the top and bottom was a motorcycle club-style patch that read, "The Royal Court of Princess Donut." Centered on the boxers over the crotch area was an embroidered bomb patch, identical to the one on my jacket. It was really tacky. There we go. Good way to start off. That's a good idea. Rogue Mathematician says, sell these flags. Yeah. They can be for burgers, right? For restaurants.
Ellie says her squad's flag has a bag of adult diapers on it. Imani's squad flag has a butterfly, and it sounds just lovely. Why couldn't we get something like that? Have you seen the stitching on this? It looks like you sewed it. This is outrageous.
It is pretty stupid. It is pretty stupid. I agreed, laughing again. It was so dumb I couldn't help but find it funny. What did Katya get? What did Katya get?
She didn't answer. She says it was... She didn't answer. She says it was something dumb too. Carl, we need to tell them to change it. Something with Mongo would be much better than this. She didn't answer. She says it was something dumb too. Carl, we need to... Carl, we need to tell them to change it. Something with Mongo would be much better than this.
It doesn't matter, I said, picking the flag up. The flagpole, stick, whatever, was a glowing metal spike, maybe about a foot long. It was enchanted, and it would stick into any sort of creature, even ghosts. It was enchanted, and it would stick into any sort of creature, even ghosts, as long as the health was below 5%. Probably their health. It was enchanted, and it would stick into any sort of creature, even ghosts, as long as their health was below 5%. I wrapped my hand around it and made a jabbing motion. It would be difficult to use these things. The metal would be slippery if there was a lot of blood. And there always was a lot of blood. I stood and wiped myself off. I looked over at Bomo, who had an oddly depressed look on his rocky face. He almost looked lonely, like he missed the sledge already. "Hey, buddy, there should be another stairwell location here in the city. Can you see where it is?" He grunted at his eyes.
He grunted as his eyes went glossy. He had a spell that could teleport us to any stairwell location on the entire floor. The spell still hadn't reset from the last time he used it, but he could still load it up, and it showed him all the stairwells. It was a ridiculously powerful spell I was hoping to get my hands on somehow, since we'd lose him the moment this floor ended.
Yep. The next White Album or the next Skyrim. Hey, how about that? Sorry, someone said, I guess DCC is going to be the next White Album. Going to have to buy it again for the tunneled audio program. Yeah, but it's more apt to say Skyrim, because there's like 70 million versions of that one, right?
Now, since we'd lose him the moment this floor ended.
Okay, so we're talking to Bomo, right? I kind of want to do the "Hey buddy" line again. Yeah, Bomo.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. There should be another.
I just wanted to sound more friendly.
Hey, buddy. There should be another stairwell. Hey, buddy. There should be another stairwell location here in the city. Can you see where it is? Hey, buddy. There should be another stairwell location here in the city. Can you see where it is?
It's getting hot. All right, let's see. So I need to go look up Bomo's voice. It's been a while. Come on. Let's see here. Where's my dungeon crawler Carl? Here we go. I bet I can find Bomo in book 5. Sorry, my tablet's so slow, guys. Chapter 5 of book 5. All right, let's see here. Log in, come on now.
Zero.
Of the ice and this world, according to the story, was half floors. All the way to the southeast is the High Elf City. Stay out of the water. The Naiads live within and are just as bad as the elves. The named city, who selves up as Grand, the title given to mayors of the biggest settlements. Stay out of the big city. The guards will attack you on sight.
It cast, Bomo rumbled.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah. We should get one of those.
We'd lose him the moment this...
Alright, we'll put it in the monster track.
I only see two. I only see two. He grunted. That's because we're not really sitting in Cuba right now, Mordecai said. Each little area is its own location, kinda like the bubbles on the 5th floor. When part 2 of this thing opens up, you'll probably be able to see everything.
Why are we looking for stairwells now?
Donut asked.
There's one right outside, and we can't get to it anyway.
Because if there's anybody else here, they're gonna be at the 2nd stairwell, after we nap and reset our buffs.
Wait a minute, that might be Carl.
Because if there's anybody else here, they're gonna be at the 2nd stairwell. After we nap and reset our buffs, our first step is to find out if we're alone or not. Step 2 will be to map out the area and figure out where the best monsters are. Stairs not too far. Stairs not too far, Bomo said, tracing a rocky finger along the counter. Still in big city, near coast. I'd never been to Cuba, or even looked at a map of Havana. And I had no idea how big this city really was. I had a general idea of the location of the city on a map of the small island country, but I knew nothing about the city itself. Okay, do me a favor and sit down with Mordecai and try to map it out a bit in a piece of paper. We're going to keep you in the safe room for now, but we might have you come out with us later. Bomo made a sad rumble, and I patted him on the arm. Bomo made a sad rumble. And I patted him on the arm. I still have an old GameCube from that house I haven't hooked up yet. I'll make a compatible controller for you. We have a few cool games for it. He made a non-committal grunt. See if you can find a real safe room with a babka, too, Mordecai said. I'm going to try to get my eyes on the dungeon newsletter and see what's happening.
Eye,
Donut corrected.
you only have one eye now.
Things are looking a little different in my menus, and I'm not certain what's changed. There's likely been some fallout from skipping that floor, and we want to know what that is. There's likely been some fallout from skipping that floor, and we want to know what that is.
What about me?
Oh, that's dude too.
What about me?
Samantha called, hopping up and down. I grinned. You want us to find a mage for that body of yours, right?
Yes, right away.
Right?
Yes, right away.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, right away.
Right?
Yes, right away.
There we go.
I nodded. We need a monster map of the whole area. The fastest way to do that will be to find... The fastest way to do that will be to find a burrow boss and get the field... The fastest way to do that will be to find a burrow boss and get the field guide map. Once we do that, we'll see if we can find anybody that'll help you. You're going to be our recon specialist. Less than an hour later, we were ready to go. I wanted to get into the craft room and play with my new automaton pieces, plus my bomber studio had just been upgraded, and I wanted to go into there. Mordecai was already making noises about my crafting table upgrade coupons, but I told him we wanted to get our bearings first. The first thing I did was go back into the Capitol building, and I surrounded the exit stairwell with traps, including alarm traps and a few teleports. I set the activation condition as Crawler not a member of the guild, safe home Yolanda. Just in case. I returned to the safe room to gather Donut. Come on, Samantha. Donut, we're keeping Mongo locked up. Let's figure out how this world works before we unleash him. Donut started to protest, but I held up my hand. This is a city, and there are going to be cars everywhere. This is a city, and there are going to be cars everywhere. They won't stop, and if he gets hit, he'll get squished like your cousin Baron Bearclaw, or whatever his name was. Donut harumphed as we moved to the heavy double doors. Samantha rolled underfoot, weaving back and forth excitedly. I pulled the doors open, revealing early morning on a warm, humid day. We stood at the top of a long, stone stairwell. The world outside bustled with activity. Or whatever his name was. Donut harumphed as we moved to the... Donut harumphed.
There, that's better.
Before we unleash him. Donut start... Unleash him. Donuts.
I'm gonna leave that one on.
Entering Old Havana.
Her name was Baroness Eclair Exquisite, and she got smushed by a tractor because she was... Her name was Baroness Eclair Exquisite, and she got smushed by a tractor because she ran into a field. She never was the brightest cat. Her name was Baroness Eclair Exquisite, and she got smushed by a tractor because she ran into a field. She never was the brightest cat. Miss Beatrice was at most... She never was the brightest cat. Miss Beatrice was most upset when she heard the news, as was I. I never liked the Baroness much, but it's always distressing when royalty dies and farm accidents. It's embarrassing to the whole family.
Yeah. Bad things happen to cats who jump out windows.
I saved your life when I went out that window, Carl, and I have yet to be thanked for it.
Donut looked about at the scene spread before us.
Carl, none of these people are on my map. And isn't it supposed to be December? It's quite warm.
I barely heard her. The scene hit me like a sledgehammer. This is what we lost, I thought, taking it all in. This is our world. The river, which I had thought I'd left behind on the previous floor, made itself known. Stay down, I thought. Stay back. Not until I need you. I took a deep breath. The air was humid and smelled of flowers and ocean and the usual smoke of a city. The buzz of insects and cars and life filled my senses. Excuse me. It appeared to be about 8 in the morning. At the bottom of the stairs was a wide sidewalk, a busy 2-lane road, and then a wall of brick and stone buildings. Beyond that, the densely packed city spread before us. Multi-story and multicolored Spanish colonial-style buildings spread out in every direction, most of them made of brick and multicolored, aging stucco. Various cars and scooters and buses zipped up and down the roadway. It was a mix of cheap Chinese and Russian vehicles with several classic American cars. A bright yellow 1950-something Ford Fairlane with a bright yellow 1950-something Ford Fairlane with the top down rumbled by. The shining car looked brand new. A moment later, a 1950s Chevy Bel Air passed. I realized the car was a taxi. Okay, Samantha. Try to stay out of traffic. We don't want you crashing any cars or scooters, okay? Especially not near here. Head south and just keep going. Every time you see a monster, let us and Mordecai know what it is. We're building a monster map. I originally wanted to toss her the distance using the Chistera extension, but she returned back to me the moment I removed it off my hand, and I didn't want to walk around with the thing all day, so we decided to let her roam freely. I was hoping for her to get as far from the safe room as possible and to gauge the strength of the monsters. at the far edge of the area.
Okay, I will fuck up in the monsters.
No, you'll observe and report. Your recon, and that's it. Got it?
And we need to find a mage.
That's right. Now get going. You can float now. I saw you do it. Now get going. You can float now. I saw you do it. So stay above the traffic and people. Try not to touch anything.
Okay, I got this. I will fly.
She bounced a few times and then bounced down the stairs like a basketball. She did not fly.
Fly!
I yelled. She ignored me.
Hey!
She shouted as she rolled away, narrowly avoiding a strolling couple. She stopped to look at them.
Yoo-hoo! Are you a mage?
Samantha! They can't hear you! Remember? They're not really there! Just their clothes! And stay off the goddamned ground! And stay off the goddamned ground! Hear you! Remember? They're not really there! Let me try this again. Samantha! They can't hear you! Remember? They're not really there! Just their clothes! And stay off the goddamned ground! There we go.
She growled and rolled away. I cringed as she crossed the busy road, picking up speed. Luckily, nothing hit her. She turned and then zipped down an alley, disappearing. I could still hear her shouting, looking for a mage. I sighed with relief when she disappeared. That would keep her busy for a day or two. I just hoped she didn't cause any major issues.
Carl, she's not very good at following directions. Carl, she's not very good at following directions. It's a wonder she...
Whoa, I said, stepping out of the way as a group of people suddenly appeared, also coming out of the building. They materialized out of nowhere. It was a group of 5 people, tourists by the look of them, from Asia. They'd been in the same building, but for whatever reason, our starting area wasn't a part of the replay. They just appeared at the top of the stairs and walked right through us.
She...
Whoa! I said, stepping out.
Help! Carl! Help!
Through us.
Help!
Through us.
Help! Carl! Help!
Donut shouted, suddenly rolling away. One of the ghosts had kicked her as he strode by. The shoe, sock, and pants just ripped right off the body as the man continued on his way. Donut rolled up in the trousers and fell down the stairs, screeching bloody murder. She thumped down the stairs and hit the ground and stopped just before she rolled into the street. I rushed toward her. The man, now pantsless, underwearless, and with only a single shoe and sock, continued on his way, oblivious. The parts that had been covered with clothes now appeared as a wavy, translucent outline, not fully realized like the rest of him. The illusion was strange, but I was grateful that we wouldn't be treated to a bunch of naked people walking around. You okay? I asked, coming up to her. She pulled herself away and shook herself off. She hadn't really been hurt, despite falling down the stone stairs. Just surprised.
Why, I never...
she said, glaring off at the man who stopped with his friends. He was now holding his hand up, like he was looking at a phone, but there was no phone in his hand.
You should be ashamed!
He can't... I began. He can't... I began, trailing off. She knew perfectly well he couldn't hear her.
Carl, I think he dropped his wallet. And his cell phone.
I picked up the brown pants, which had wrapped around Donut. I shook them so that whitey-tighty... the whitey-tighty undies fell to the ground. Sure enough, there was a wallet and an iPhone in his pocket. I picked up the phone, and it was working, but I couldn't get into it. It said "no service" in Spanish. It had a sticker on the back, indicating it was a rental. I looked back over at the guy, and he was pointing at something on his non-existent phone while his companions looked over his shoulder. They turned and walked off south along the sidewalk toward a palm tree-lined park. Weird. I stuck the phone into my inventory. It seemed wrong that the phone was actually turned on and working. It would turn to dust the moment we left this floor. His wallet contained a few credit cards and several euro banknotes along with a few American $5 bills. There wasn't any Cuban money. I pulled one of the credit cards. Thanks to the system, I could read the Chinese characters. The man's name was Bingwen Zhao. I took it all, along with the sock and shoe. I hesitated. Then I took the underwear, too. I didn't want to leave anything behind. We needed to leave as small a footprint as possible, especially near the safe room.
Gross, Carl.
Do you see any mobs or NPCs? Come on, let's get out of the way. Donut jumped to my shoulder, and we stepped out of the way of a strolling couple. A scooter thing that looked like a driving lemon zipped by. On the street. Music blared as it passed.
No, and it's going to be hard to get through that without touching anybody. There are people everywhere. It smells really good here. I thought it was going to smell disgusting. I don't smell a single cigar. I don't smell a single cigar.
What about safe rooms?
Nothing. But there are bathrooms.
Okay, hang on. I cast ping. The sonar sound spread out, moving out into the city. The spell was supposed to have a range of a little more than 3 kilometers, but I knew it would be less in the city. The spell was supposed to have a range of a little more than 3 kilometers, but I knew it would be less in the city, especially with such tall buildings. It wouldn't show mobs or other crawlers, but it would show me all the white-tagged NPCs. Several dots appeared on my map, including Samantha, who had already gone a good distance, plus some white dots in the ocean north of us. Several dots appeared on my map, including Samantha, who had already gone a good distance, plus some white dots in the ocean north of us. It was showing non-hostile animals, I realized, and I adjusted it. Only a handful of actual NPCs appeared, and none of them were close. If they were in safe rooms or even regular buildings, I knew ping wouldn't work very well. I had no idea how it worked with NPCs when they were mixed in with all this chaos. We needed to go about 6 miles east. The walk would take us maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours under normal circumstances, but if we were going to be dodging everyone, it would be impossible to do it quickly. We started moving north along the wide sidewalk, evading tourists and vendors. There were people everywhere. We passed a pair of men, one holding open a paper map, examining it. I reached over and plucked the map out of his hands. His wedding ring went flying off his hand, plinked twice, and fell into the gutter. This would be much easier at night, I said. I decided to leave the ring there, and we continued on our way. I examined the map as we walked. It was in English, and it showed the whole downtown area along with transit instructions to outer neighborhoods. As I suspected, we were walking in the correct direction. We were headed toward a different neighborhood outside of Old Havana called Miramar.
I don't see why we have to dodge people.
Donut grumbled as we walked. There was a highway that traced the northern coast. We were going to get there and skirt the highway east toward the other stairwell. It looked like there was a sidewalk. If there was, this trip wouldn't be as bad as I originally thought.
The clothes don't hurt us when they hit us. As long as we're not hit by a car, I don't see what the problem is. And frankly, I don't think getting hit by a car would be that bad with our constitution.
We already have reports of people getting injured by moving objects. They're cheating, giving things more force than they're supposed to have. If we were really on the surface and I got hit by a car with my stats, I'd barely move. The car would get obliterated. But that's not how it works here. I'm more worried about chain reactions. I paused to watch an honest-to-goodness 1920s Model T Ford rumble by. Remember the iron tangle? Crashing one little train screwed everything up.
Yes, Carl, but that was different. These people aren't really here, just their clothes. I say we throw a big rock in the road and get it all over with. I say we throw a big rock in the road and get it all over with. We wait for a car to crash into it, which will cause all the other We wait for a car to crash into it, which will cause all the other cars to crash, and in a little bit, the road will be free because they'll all be crashed at that one spot.
All right, Donut. All right, we're at 150 viewers. We're at 10% of our goal. Let's see what else you guys can do.
We wait for a car to crash into it, which will cause all the other cars to crash, and in a little bit, the road will be free because they'll all be crashed at We wait for a car to crash into it, which will cause all the other cars to crash, and in a little bit, the road will be free because they'll all be crashed at that one spot.
Why is that so hard to say?
They'll all be crashed at that one spot. We wait for a car to crash into it, which will cause all the other cars to crash, and in a little bit the road will be free because they'll all be crashed at that one spot. It'll just be weird. It'll just be weird glowing ghosts floating around the place. And once they move through the crash, they won't have anything on themselves to hurt us. You still have that royal chariot in your inventory. You still have that royal chariot in your inventory. You still have that royal chariot in your... You still have that royal chariot in your inventory. You still have that royal chariot in your inventory. We'd have an empty road. Us. You still have that royal chariot in your inventory. We'd have an empty road.
We'd end up paced if we tried to use the chariot. Do you see those buses? They're everywhere. A roadblock won't get everything right. A roadblock won't get everything right away.
All this walking is very bad for my fur.
She was sitting on my shoulder and had been since... She was sitting on my shoulder and had been since we left the safe room.
I do like it here, though. It's very pretty, and I like the smell of all the street food vendors. I didn't know there'd be so many people selling things, or so many tourists. I thought the country was closed off. I thought the country was closed off. I thought the country was closed off. I thought the country was closed off.
This place is a huge tourist destination. Or it was. It was hard to get here directly from the U.S., but people from all over used to come here all the time. Supposedly the beaches are great.
Well, I thought this was a communist country and such things as street vendors and beaches weren't allowed. I thought there'd be tanks on every corner and men in olive uniforms shooting guns into the sky and parades where everyone is... I thought there'd be tanks on every corner and men in olive uniforms shooting guns into the sky and parades where everyone is smoking cigars while children wait in line for a single piece of bread. And what about those boat people going to Florida? I feel as if the A-Team lied to me. I feel as if the A-Team lied to me.
We're not going to be talking politics. That's not why we're here. Nothing ever good comes from talking politics. Nothing ever good comes from talking politics. Nothing ever good comes from talking politics, especially when neither of us know what the hell we're talking about.
Carl, have you been sniffing glue?
About?
Carl, have you been sniffing glue? You are boxes deep in You are boxes deep in politics. We are sponsors now, and as the former #1 crawler... We are sponsors now, and as... We are sponsors now, and as the former #1 crawler, it's my duty to... We are sponsors now, and as the former #1 crawler, it's my duty to...
She suddenly hissed and poofed out. A pack of 3 or 4 street dogs strolled by and ran into the street, crossing it, moving toward a street vendor selling fried egg sandwiches of all things. The dogs were part of the illusion. Anyway, I said, changing the subject, I think you might be right about blocking the road. But if we do it, we need to be really careful about the location. One little crash will cause every car that moves through there to start piling up, and soon it'll be like that pit of trains. It'll have a cascade effect, and the crash site will get bigger and bigger. It'll have a cascade effect, and the crash site will get bigger and bigger.
It's going to happen whether you like it or not, especially with Samantha out there. Carl, look!
Donut said, pointing.
Carl, look! Carl, look!
Donut said, pointing. A man floated by on the road, wearing only sunglasses. He came from the north, the direction we were walking. Only his head and his arms looked fully corporeal. The man just floated down the road. He'd been riding a scooter, but something happened to it. Something had happened to it. He'd lost the scooter and all of his clothes. Whatever it was, it had occurred off the main roadway. Well, shit, I said, watching him go. I wondered if Samantha caused it. Carl. You doing okay, Samantha? Samantha.
Nobody is talking to me, Carl. I don't like being ignored. It hurts my feelings. I am very sensitive.
I grumbled under my breath. Carl. Again. Samantha. The people aren't really here. It's an illusion. We're inside of a dream, and they do not see you. And why aren't you flying? Samantha.
I am going to kill them, and it takes a long time for my magic to build up. I had a lot of magic when we were fighting on that last floor, but I don't have much now. Wait! I see a rat monster! It's wearing a hat!
Donut.
What kind of hat?
Samantha.
Oh, you would love it. It's very big. Well, it's small. It's a normal-sized rat, but the hat is big for him. Much too big for its little head. He's very cute. Oh no, he's running away. He's really fast.
I sighed and opened a new chat window. Carl. Hey, Katya, Imani. Are you guys seeing any chain reactions yet? Imani. Imani.
We're in a rural area, but I-5 is nearby, and only a handful of actual cars have gone by from the south toward Portland. Lots of floating heads and arms. I think something is blocking the freeway down there. Cars are still coming from the north.
Ellie.
It's really weird. I just saw a goddamned Bigfoot cross the road. He almost got splattered. The thing was wearing Bermuda shorts.
Donut.
What are Bermuda shorts? That sounds like an old person thing.
Ellie.
Well, it ain't a Sasquatch thing, that's for sure.
Katya.
It's the same here. Well, it ain't a Sasquatch thing, that's for sure.
Katya.
It's the same here. The moment we walked out of the safe room, I saw an Ikur.
Ikur? Y-K-U-R. Woo. Okay, so this is an Icelandic word. Any Icelanders? Yes, Y-K-U-R. Any Icelanders in the audience? Real quick, I'm going to go get some more water. Any Icelanders in the audience who can pronounce Y-K-U-R? Anybody? See, the fan will get picked up by the microphone, though. Let's see. Achoo! All right, just making the announcement on Discord. We need a helper. We need a Icelandic helper. Euchre. It was a little bit like a goat sneeze. Good catch. Good catch. That was my intention the whole time, to sneeze like a goat. All right, so euchre, that's kind of a... I kind of like that idea. Maybe I can look it up in, like, put Icelandic in the search. Mythical beings of Iceland. All right, well, that's what it is, but no pronunciation here.
You sure this is Icelandic?
Yep.
I just looked up on this Icelandic pronunciation dictionary, and I looked
Yep.
up Yukur.
I found it here in this icelandrovers.is. It's a gray pony thing. It looks like the beautiful gray horse that you'll ever see. The situation changes quite rapidly once you sit on it, because as soon as you do, it will run into the nearest body of water and drown you. Its hooves are backwards, so watch those hooves carefully. It's a mythological thing. Anybody make it? Any Icelanders in the chat? Eker. Stick it into Google Translate. It shows up in Arabic.
Ikur.
I think Ikur is probably going to be...
Oh, you found it.
Maybe. I just found Google Translate and stuck it in, and it didn't even believe me that it was Icelandic either, so... Sounds like a Kelpie, yeah.
The moment we walked out of the safe room, I saw an Ikur. The moment we walked out of the safe room, I saw an Ikur. It's a type of horse, and it's supposed to be gray. It was pink for no apparent reason. It did get splattered by a car, and now there's a growing pile of car crashes. Everything is icy, which doesn't help. The cars are already blocking the front entrance to our safe area. We're closing off the area around it so it doesn't get worse, and then we gotta clear it away. Louis and Brittany are trapped inside for now.
Imani.
I think we should make roadblocks away from the safe room so it doesn't happen close to the stairwell.
Donut.
That's what I've been telling Carl, but he's being grumpy about it.
Carl. Make sure it's really far from the stairwells if you can. Those piles of cars are going to get pretty big and long. Longer than you think. I think in a few hours all the roadways are going to be just stopped. A man walked out of a doorway, surprising me. He walked right through me, and his clothes went flying. Donut sputtered from my shoulder and spit out an earbud. Donut sputtered from my shoulder and spit out an earbud. Donut sputtered from my shoulder and spit out an earbud. The man continued on his way, nothing but a floating head and arms with a wavy, translucent outline for the rest of him. I left the clothes on the sidewalk. Shit, I said again, watching the man go. You're right. This is impossible. To accentuate the point, a loud crash echoed from somewhere deep in the city, followed by another crash, then another. I cursed. Samantha.
That wasn't my fault!
Everything was already out of whack. Come on, Donut, I said, starting to jog along the sidewalk. Let's get to that other stairwell. Come on, Donut, I said, starting to jog along the sidewalk. Let's get to that other stairwell. I still avoided people, but not as carefully. Clothes and cell phones went flying the moment I brushed past someone. I kicked a baby stroller, and it spun sideways. As we ran, another crash echoed, this time from a different direction. Smoke filled the air, as something burned. It didn't take long to come across our first mob. We reached the northern coast of the island, and sure enough there was a wide, multi-lane highway here that ran east-west. We hit the concrete sidewalk and started to jog west. I didn't dare use the royal chariot, but I contemplated snagging a bicycle or... I didn't dare use the royal chariot, but I contemplated snagging a bicycle or one of the hundreds of scooters zipping around. Donut remained on my shoulder as I ran, wind whipping by my face. She made comment after comment on the colorful architecture and clothing and vehicles. Plus, she was constantly hissing and complaining about the multiple street dogs who skulked around every corner. The ocean spread out on our right, the blue waves crashing calmly against the beach. The air smelled wrong here. Like Donut said, it wasn't unpleasant, but it was like they got the ocean scent just a little off. Like Donut said, it wasn't unpleasant, but it was like they got the ocean scent just a little off. Apartments and other buildings of all sizes and conditions dotted the city to our left, punctuated by an occasional palm tree-filled park. Along the highway, cars still came from the west, but the eastern lanes were mostly stopped. Like with Imani and Ellie's area, it was just groups of people floating on the road, which was really weird. Samantha was also giving random updates. The further away she moved, the bigger the monsters. Her description skills weren't very great. The last thing she described was just a crying lady with a basket throwing eggs at her.
What? What? I thought people couldn't see her, or I thought they were ghosts and they couldn't interact.
I was commenting on the strangeness of it all when Donut hissed at me to stop. A red dot appeared on the map, appearing atop a hill in a park adjacent to the road. It screamed, loud and high-pitched. There were no words, but the sound was very human-like. I turned in time to see the creature galloping toward us. It started barking. Only the barks weren't barks. It was like a person was imitating the It was like a person was imitating the bark of a dog. "What the hell, man?" I muttered as I formed a fist.
All right, new voice. So, let me see if I can find some, announcer? What happened here? Have I been echoing for a while? Run loop back. Let's see.
Tom! Thunder! Super effective!
For a second when I was talking.
Wow! Take him down with one hit!
Because he's moved back. But I haven't noticed that.
Ice beam! That's the weak spot! Gone! It's a one-hit wonder! Wow! Perfect game! Dizzy! That's a good hit!
Okay, got it. I'm gonna imitate the Pokemon Stadium voice.
I muttered as I formed a fist.
Combat started! Started! Combat started! Okay.
The message came out of nowhere and was in a voice I'd never heard before. What was that?
So happened to have...
Whoop. What was that? Where did my voice come from there? Was that you, Ahmed?
What was that?
Cannot hear you if that was, but okay.
What was that? The brown and white four-legged creature was about the size and shape of an extra-large wolf, but it was long. The brown and white four-legged creature was about the size and shape of an extra-large wolf, but its long, straight, forward legs did not bend at the knees, and it loped. Damn it. The brown and white four-legged creature was about the size and shape of an extra-large wolf, but its long, straight, forward legs did not bend at the knees, and it loped toward us with an odd, splayed gait, bouncing wildly up and down. But the strangest part of the creature was the head. It was that of a human, but maybe 1.5 times the size. It was that of a human. It was that of a human, but maybe 1.5 times the size of a regular person, making it comically large on the strange monster. It was that of a human, but maybe 1.5 times the size of a regular person, making it comically large on the strange monster. It was an angry-looking, bearded guy wearing a red beret. The beret glowed, indicating it was magical. The head on the thing looked suspiciously like Che Guevara. He continued to bark furiously at us. He continued to bark furiously at us as he charged. It literally sounded like a dude using a megaphone to make barking noises.
What in God's name is that?
Donut cried as she pumped a magic missile at the creature. Donut cried as she pumped a magic missile at the creature.
It's like the dog from that Alien movie with President Snow in it.
President Snow. What is that? What is that? What is that reference to? President Snow. Hungry Games.
Yeah, President Snow's from Hunger Games for sure, but there's no alien. Oh, unless they mean the dogs that they made in the movie. That's a very specific reference.
So wait, but maybe what she's saying is the actor probably that plays President Snow.
Oh, Donald Sutherland. And yes, he was in Body Snatchers.
Okay.
He turned into one of the Body Snatcher. What was the line again?
It's like the dog from that Alien movie with President Snow in it.
Oh, yes, this is Body Snatchers and the dog becomes a body snatcher.
Okay.
And I think that scene was really goofy and weird. So that's a very obscure particular reference, but I think he means to be like camp. Because it felt camp, even though it was supposed to be serious.
Right. Okay. With President Snow, I love how she just refers to things however she understands it, just like anybody else, I guess.
The missile hit the mob, who howled in outrage. Its health went down about 10%. She followed it up with a fireball, which slammed into the monster, throwing it onto its back. It caught on fire and started squealing in pain. I examined the pitiful creature.
I love the name of it.
Oh no, I completely forgot what the deal with the dog was, and I'm glad that I pulled it up because it's completely ridiculous and awesome.
Do you have a clip to show?
Yeah, I'm pulling something up now. Yeah, it's
all right. We got to see this.
I remember why it's the best thing in the movie. I remember now. It took me a minute. But it's because because I think the dude's like he's a homeless guy anyway here.
Oh.
Here, do I have the volume down? Hang on.
If you have other business, stay clear of the yellow.
I don't know why that's the screen so weird and small.
Unless you're floating or
Oh right.
You know what I love? Okay. The dude was a hobo, right? This is amazing. Oh my god, you hear
The banjo?
You hear the banjo? Oh my god. So the dude was a hobo, and then he got turned into a half dog, half hobo or something, and then they totally play the banjo. And this is a serious scene, so it's like really ominous when this and they mix the banjo with the ominous music.
Creepy.
It's awful. It's also amazing. It's awful amazing. Anyway, so that's the dog that he's talking about.
Gotcha.
With the mask, with the person, with the bum's mask on.
I like how the dog's tongue came out of the mask.
And the banjo. Whose idea was that?
I have no idea why there's a banjo going on.
Whenever the dog comes out, the banjo comes out with him.
The Experience, Level 55. One of the most feared creatures from pre-Columbian Taino folklore.
Uh-oh. Taino?
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 This is Taino. That's Aboriginal Puerto Ricans? I think. Am I right? Of historic indigenous people of the Caribbean.
Okay. How's it pronounced?
I thought it was Taino, but let me look it up. I've heard it spoken, but who knows if the person that I spoke to.
Kill it with fire.
Yes. Oh, it says Taino.
Taino?
Taino.
Taino? Colombian
Taino.
Taino folklore.
Did you hear that? Taino.
One of the most... Okay. Oh, I couldn't hear you play it, if that's what
Oh,
you're
it
asking.
didn't. Oh, der. The screen isn't even on. Der. I think it's, but I don't know if it's asking like. I don't trust it that it's asking to pronounce the right word.
Yeah, I don't mind if you kind of like keep that going in the background. Taino?
Taino.
Taino. That's not... Why does it spell it N-O-W? Okay, Taino.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what it's trying to. That's not the word. It says sound. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Never mind. American pronunciation. British pronunciation.
Taino.
Okay, let's go with Spanish pronunciation.
Which
Which is below. You see it like in the
did
link?
I miss it? Wait,
No,
what
go
do you
go
mean?
down to the go down.
Oh,
a bit.
there,
Taino,
here.
Spanish. Yeah.
Taino.
Yeah.
No.
Taino. Yeah, exactly. Taino. Taino. I'll stop the screen, but I'll leave the page up for
Okay.
pronunciation.
One of the most feared creatures from pre-Columbian Taino folklore. One of the most feared creatures from pre-Columbian Taino folklore. Taino folklore. Taino folklore. Taino folklore. One of the most feared creatures from pre-Columbian Taino folklore, the experience is said to be the guardian of the world of the dead. Who knows why dead people need to be guarded? Because, well, they're dead already. You humans have a lot of weird traditions that make no sense whatsoever. Anyway, this vicious and powerful monstrosity rarely shows itself in the world of the living, but when it does, you best watch out. It's strong, magical, and quite feisty. This is something from their mythology. Really? Why is it called that? It sounds like a rejected character from the... Why is it called that? Why is it called that? Why is it called that? It sounds like a rejected character from either the Jersey Shore or one of those jerks from the Skull Empire. Really? Why is it called that? Why is it called that?
What was the Jersey Shore guy's name? The Situation. That was his name.
Really? Why is it called...
The Situation. That's why she said that. Can you get more douchey than that? Oh. Lloyd Davis, I'm reading until 12:30 Central today. Just another hour and 10 minutes or so. The Situation. Holy shit. Okay.
I said, watching the creature pull itself up. It was still on fire. I think maybe they took something from local legend and Saturday morning cartooned it.
I don't know what that means, Carl, but it sounds offensive.
She shot another. She shot another magical... She shot another magic missile, knocking it back. Its health was down a little more than half. It started to turn in circles, trying to get the fire. It started to turn in circles, trying to get the fire on its own ass out. It whimpered and howled. It paused to look in our direction and suddenly started insulting us in Spanish.
Oh, man. The imagery that Matt manages to bring up for us is so crazy. It's a Jersey thing, someone said.
You better hit it with your new mute spell before we figure out it. You better hit it with your new mute spell before we figure out his magical ability. She cast. and the yellow bolt shot out, moving painfully slow. The creature whimpered and tried to move out of the way, but the yellow blob curved in the air and slapped itself into the creature. A 1-minute timer appeared over it, along with a little speaker with a cross through it. A 1-minute timer appeared over it, along with a little speaker with a cock through it. A 1-minute timer appeared over it, along with a little speaker with a cross through it icon, indicating it couldn't cast spells. The monster continued to spin in circles, whimpering. "Do you remember the show we had to go on? The voiceover one? Earth Beautiful?"
I feel like they shouldn't, I don't know, I was kind of putting intensity in Carl's voice here, but he's like, they seem to not really even be in danger at all, so.
You better hit it with your new mute spell before we figure out his magical ability. She can't. Do you remember the show we had to go on? The voiceover one? Earth Beautiful?
I love how that made it into the book. A cock speaker. Why not? What's wrong with a cock speaker? What if you could get speakers installed in... Never mind. Okay.
Where I introduced the universe to the truth about cocker spaniels? Of course I remember it. Where I introduced the universe to the truth about cocker spaniels? Of course I remember it. Remember it.
She suddenly gasped and then cast a new spell. A new debuff appeared over the creature. The icon for this one was a head with little wavy lines over it. The monster howled and then started viciously biting at its own leg. Donut laughed.
Look, Carl, it works. Look, that's my "why are you hitting yourself" spell. Look, Carl, it works. Look, that's my "why are you hitting yourself" spell.
Leg.
Oh, look, Carl, it works. Look, that's my "why are you hitting yourself" spell.
One more time.
Leg. Leg.
Look, Carl, it works. Look, that's my "why are you hitting yourself" spell. 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 Look, that's my "why are you hitting yourself" spell. Look, that's my "why are you hitting yourself" spell.
I grunted. The monster's health started to go down faster and faster. It simultaneously rumbled and cried as it vaginally? No. As it vaginally... Where'd it go? Bit at itself. It simultaneously rumbled and cried as it savagely bit at itself. It simultaneously rumbled and cried as it savagely bit at itself. Its rump continued to smolder. We'll have to see what else is out there, but I think their interpretation of legendary creatures might be a little off. Just like on that Earth Beautiful show. The producer guy for that show told me they got all their info off an incomplete copy of the internet. Their research was a mix of real facts and made-up bullshit. Like they did 5 minutes of research and filled in the blanks. I think this is the same thing.
It vaginally bit itself.
The monster collapsed onto its side. The beret on its head plopped off. The monster was scorched and bleeding. Christ, I thought. Donut did that, and she barely had to lift a paw.
How is it they have a perfect recording of all the people and cars and the things they're carrying and how they moved around, but they don't have accurate facts about mythology? The posse members aren't going to like things to be inaccurate. The posse members aren't going to like things to be inaccurate.
In this case, it's working in our favor. There are some pretty messed up myths and legends.
Do you think we should stick it with one of the... Do you think we should stick it with one of the flags? We don't have to keep him, but we have 20 of the flag things, and we should see how they work. But if we do... We don't have to keep him, but we have 20 of the flag things, and we should see how they work. But if we do add him to the squad, I'm going to have to insist he shaves. And I get to keep his hat.
Too late.
His hat.
Too late. I said, as the monster groaned and died.
Combat complete! Deck has been reset!
Dibs on the hat! Dibs on the hat! Dibs on the hat!
Donut called as she bounded up the park. Donut called as she bounded up the park. Donut looted the monster, which stank like dead, wet dog. She also took the red beret, and she gasped when she read the stats. While she went through everything, I took in our surroundings. We were in a small park that overlooked the ocean. An old stone trench cut through the grass. A historical marker sat at the far end. My eyes caught movement in the grass. A historical marker... My eyes caught movement in the distant water. My eyes caught movement in the distant water. Something appeared above the surface and then disappeared again. Something appeared above the surface and then disappeared again. It was gone as quickly as it came. It was a sea serpent of some kind. How far did they say the area extended into the ocean? I couldn't remember, but it was a few kilometers at least. Then I noticed a few additional red dots along the shoreline. These were something smaller. One slid into the water. One slid into the water and disappeared. One slid into the water and disappeared. Seals. We'd have to be careful. I was also starting to catch up on the group chats that were coming in, getting a handle of this new combat system. So far, it seemed like nothing had changed other than... the weird notifications. Nobody knew anything solid yet.
Carl, look! Carl, look! There's a card thing. It was in my It was in its inventory. I thought we only got cards when we stuck the monsters with flags.
Let's see it. I held out my hand, and the item appeared. It was a large, rectangular card, just about the size of a postcard.
More water, guys. Sorry about that. Oh, shit. Ow, ow. Stubbed my toe out there. It's dangerous, man. My office is dangerous.
Just about the size of a postcard. It was rigid, but it still felt like it was made of paper, like I could rip it easily if I wanted. The back was decorated with the now familiar logo of the syndicate government. The 3D image moved and undulated on its own. The other side was nothing but a red stylized plus symbol floating in a field of stars.
Tagi card. Very rare. Utility card. Combo. Consumable. You ever mix two completely incompatible foods together to see how they taste? Sometimes it's great, like chicken and waffles. Sometimes it's a bad idea. Like tuna and haggis. Temporarily combines two monster cards into a single creature. Summoning length is equal to the shorter of the two summoning phases. Summoning length is equal to the shorter of the two summoning phases. Post-summoning, both monsters are tagged out for the remainder of combat, even if they still have health. Warning! This is a consumable card. It will be destroyed upon use.
I wonder how rare these things really are, I asked, turning the card over. I wouldn't know how valuable this thing really was until we added some monsters to the squad. I tried to stick the card into my inventory when I received an error.
Warning! Cards may only be held by the squad leader.
That's just great.
So, what do you think?
Donut asked. The red beret appeared on her head. I hadn't had the chance to examine it yet.
Does it look good? I do prefer my white tiara, but I'm thinking maybe I should embrace the I do prefer my white tiara, but I'm thinking maybe I should embrace the revolutionary look just when we're...
She paused, turning her head.
There are crawlers here. Over there.
I turned to see 3 crawlers walking toward us from the direction we'd been headed.
Carl, do you see that?
Donut asked, jumping back to my shoulder. She hissed as the 3 crawlers continued to approach. One of them lifted a hand in greeting. I grinned and held up my hand to wave. I tried not to laugh. They were still far off, but I didn't recognize any of them. 2 were guys. The 3rd was a woman. The men were both human. The woman was a cat girl. Donut hiss-whispered in my ear.
That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life, Carl. It's an abomination. It's worse than that dog-headed cheetah lady. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life, Carl. It's an abomination. It's worse than that dog-headed cheetah lady.
It's like we used that utility card on you and Katya. It's like we used that utility card on you and Katya.
Don't even joke about that, Carl.
All right, next chapter. And I will be right back. Just give me 1 minute. All right. We're at 166 viewers. I wonder when's going to be the best day, you know? You guys might be able to, like, coordinate, make a plan of some kind for when to, like, jump the stream, you know? Maybe Friday? Maybe Monday, when people are more bored? Or when people are less willing to go back to work, right? You guys must plan. Plan. So that you can decide the fate of my butt. By the way, guys, thanks for coming once again. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to continue to make sure you get notifications about when we go live. Make sure to check the description for this YouTube video. You can find a bunch of links, including how to get the Kindle version of Dungeon Crawler Carl 6, or if you haven't even listened to this series before, it'll take you to the audiobooks. Oh, Matt's in the chat. This is going to be 3 new major characters for the book. Oh, pronounced like pause. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there's anyway, tons of links in the description. Be sure to subscribe and like this video. And yeah, definitely go check out Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, the cinematic audio version. That's on our website. Can we do a later sesh for the finale so we can party? Yeah, that's a good idea, Matt. I think that people who aren't listening to the whole thing don't want spoilers. That's been the pushback that I've gotten, yeah? Jeff, I think if you think it's such a great idea, I guess that's another merch option, the SBT branded cock speaker. Yeah, bring SBT with you whenever you want, even during sexy times. You know, maybe like it'd be like a cock ring, you know, with speakers all around. That could work, maybe. I mean, if you don't want it to get like, you know, like invasive surgery of some kind. And Keteria, got it. Or does it, Celia? Or does it?
Chapter 5. The 3 newcomers stopped dead when they finally realized who we were. They paused at the edge of the park. They started whispering amongst themselves. I sighed and moved toward them. "Be nice," I whispered. The 2 guys were both in their mid-30s, and I couldn't tell the age of the Catwoman. In fact, I wasn't positive it even was a woman, but she did have the curve of human-like breasts under her fur, almost like she was wearing a bodysuit. Both men were Hispanic. The woman looked like a bipedal, humanoid, short-haired cat with glowing green eyes. Her face had the long, thin, humanoid, short-haired cat with... Her face had the long, thin features of a Siamese cat, but her fur was coffee-colored, almost black, and her vertical ears were much more rounded than a typical Siamese. Her fur rustled in the wind. Her fur rustled in the wind, and it looked soft to the touch. Her fur rustled in the wind. Her fur rustled in the wind, and it looked soft to the touch. She carried a glowing trident over her shoulder, and her only clothes were a flowing cloak and arm bracers. Donut hissed again.
That's a Havana... That's a Havana Brown call. A Havana! We need to stay away from her.
That's a little premature, don't you think?
There's no getting along with Havana Brown's call.
I had no idea why the idea of a Catwoman bothered Donut so much. She didn't seem to care about Bautista, who was more of a tiger thing. She never really liked other cats, even before we'd come into the dungeon. Zev had once mentioned that there were a few cat girls out there, and Donut had been absolutely scandalized about the idea. I didn't really get it. I examined all 3 as we got closer. Based on their crawler numbers, it was clear they'd all come into the dungeon together. The first man was glowing... The first man wore glowing silver plate armor. At first I thought the guy was a little taller than me, but the metallic boots on the armor looked to be platforms, giving him an extra 7 or 8 inches of height. I'd only seen a handful of crawlers decked out in traditional head-to-toe medieval-style armor. It looked heavy and uncomfortable as shit. The only exposed skin was his head, which stuck out of the breastplate like a dude poking his head out of a tank. He wore a backwards baseball cap on his head, and he wore a backwards baseball cap on his head, and he had a wide-eyed, scared look about him. He had a glowing symbol over his head, indicating he worshipped a deity. The symbol was a palm frond. Crawler number 8,199,454. Pause low. Level 45. Race human. Class Santero. This crawler worships the god Ogun.
Ogun? I think it's Ogun. She's full Khajiit. Ogun. Yeah, I think it's Ogun.
This crawler worships the god Ogun. The second guy was a well-muscled, bald man in a leather... The second guy was a well-muscled, bald man in a leather jacket with knee-high boots and a black cape. He carried a crossbow that looked similar to Katya's, though the front depicted an open-mouthed creature. Maybe a monkey? This man also worshipped the same god. His dark eyes bored into us suspiciously as we approached. Donut gasped in despair as we got closer. This guy was completely covered in old tattoos, even on his face. Prison tattoos. Real ones. He also had a pair of player-killer skulls over his head. He was the only player-killer in the group. All 3 of them had a mess of boss kills, including a pair of city bosses. This guy also had a single dagger icon, indicating he'd killed a hunter on the previous floor. Crawler number 8,199,451. Anton Lopez. Level 47. Race human. Class fugitive. This crawler worships the god Ogun. The cat was indeed a The cat was indeed a woman. She did not worship a god. Crawler number 8,199,462. Sister Inez.
I gotta look that up one more time. Quiteria.
Sister Inez Quiteria. Level 47. Race Catgirl. Class Poet Laureate. I pulled up chat. Carl. Mordecai, who is the god Ogun? Mordecai. For fuck's sake, did you already summon another god? Carl. No, just met a group of crawlers who worship him. Mordecai. Thank the gods. He's a big one, a common god to worship, god of blacksmiths and protection. They can't be charmed, and their weapons will pack an extra punch. The god itself is pretty grumpy.
I'm gonna try this one again.
Thank the gods. He's a big one, a common god to worship, god of blacksmiths and protection. They can't be charmed, and their weapons will pack an extra punch. The god itself is pretty grumpy. Carl. They all are. Thanks.
Sister,
Donut said.
Carl, is she a nun? A catgirl nun? A catgirl nun? Nun? A catgirl None?
She spit the words, cat girl, angrily. Let's find out.
Hey, guys!
I said, approaching close enough to talk. I'm Carl, and this is Donut.
Okay, so I gotta decide voices for each one. Anton is the second one. He's not in the armor. Paz is the one in the armor. Okay. Both about the same age.
We know who you are.
Prison Tattoo Anton said, practically growling the words. I was taken aback. I was anticipating them being suspicious or cautious, but the vehemence of his anger surprised me. Donut was about to spit something back at them, and I held up my hand. Easy. Easy. Were you the only three in your group? Were you the only three in your group? We were the only two at the other stairwell.
Oh, yeah?
Anton asked. He twitched a little, holding his crossbow at the half-ready position.
Word is you were with that goat guy. The one who murdered Gimli. The one who murdered Gimli. Word is you were with that goat guy. The one who murdered Gimli.
Gimli was a pet hawk that had gotten eaten by Bianca, Prepotente's hellspawn familiar. That had happened at the end of the masquerade, and I'd been knocked out at the time. Gimli's owner was a guy I didn't know named Osvaldo, and he was Brazilian. He was the one who'd looted the memorial crystal off Queen Imogen's body. I had a quest to get it from him. I was pretty sure Prepotente had a similar quest. Word travels fast, I said cautiously.
We know what happened at the end of the 6th floor, and what happened at the beginning of the next. You ain't the only ones who got friends. We hear things. Wow. I don't think he likes you very much, Carl. Stay back, cat!
Anton said.
Stay the fuck away from us! Me?
Donut asked, incredulous.
What did I do?
I took a deep breath. The guy in the armor and the Catwoman both took a step back and away from Anton, who stood in the middle of their unit. It was subtle, but I recognized it for what it was. They were getting ready to fight. It was an interesting formation, considering he was the only one with the ranged weapon. This was ridiculous. Fighting with the only other people in here was more than pointless. It played right into the showrunner's hands. It had come out of nowhere. I held out my hands as I took a step back. Look, we didn't have anything to do with Pony fighting that Osvaldo. Osvaldo guy, and he left the party before we went down to this floor. He's over in the Bahamas.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Anton said. He cracked his neck. His attention, I realized, was laser-focused on Donut. Behind him, Paz gave Sister Inez a nervous look. The Catwoman's whiskers twitched. Why would I lie about that? He's not the easiest person to hide. Look, I don't know why you guys are so jumpy, but if that's how you feel, we have a big, wide area to explore here. I pointed south into the city. We'll go that way. and you three can go fuck yourselves off wherever you want.
I love that line. You guys can go fuck yourselves off wherever you want.
Anton didn't respond. He just glared at Donut angrily. I watched a single bead of sweat start to trace its way down the side of his bald, tattooed head. He's scared. He's scared of Donut. All three of their eyes were flashing, and I knew they were rapidly talking with one another in chat. I was missing something. Carl. Donut, do you know why they don't like you? Donut.
It's the other cat! Havana Browns are untrustworthy mongrels, almost as bad as Sphinxes and Scottish Folds.
Carl. Yeah, I don't think that's it. Yeah, I don't think that's it.
Why are you this cat thing?
Donut suddenly demanded of Sister Inez, breaking the silence. Donut suddenly demanded of Sister Inez, breaking the silence.
A cat? I can understand. Carl would have picked a cat had the system allowed it. A cat? I can understand. Carl would have picked a cat had the system allowed it. Carl would have picked a cat had the system allowed it. But why this?
Damn it.
A cat? I can understand. Carl would have picked... A cat? I can understand. Carl would have picked a cat had the system allowed it. But why this? And are you really a nun? A cat? I can understand. Carl would have picked a cat had the system allowed it. But why this? And are you really a nun?
The woman exchanged a look with the others. They were still talking privately. The terrified-looking, armored man appeared as if he was about to burst into tears. The Catwoman took a step forward and put a paw on Anton's shoulder. She whispered something to him. He lowered his crossbow. The tattooed man remained anxious, but it seemed like the strange tenseness... The tattooed man remained anxious, but it seemed like the strange tenseness of the situation was finally starting to ease, as quickly as it came. I found myself staring at the Catwoman's large paw. Unlike Bautista and Prepotente, who both had... human-like hands, she had an actual paw, though she did have an opposable thumb, making her paws work almost like mittens. Her feet were the same, and she wore no shoes. Grabbing things had to be difficult for her. I wonder how she fought with that trident over her shoulder.
Hello, Donut.
The woman finally said.
We have seen you both. We have seen you both many times on the program. I'm a discalced...
Alright, I gotta look this one up. Discalced? D-I-S-C-A-L-C-E-D. Nope. D-I-S.
Discalced.
Discalced. Sound right, guys?
I am a dis... I am a discalced Carmelite.
Wait. Is that also a Spanish word? Carmelite? Nope.
Carmelite.
Yep. Carmelite.
I am a discalced Carmelite. I am a discalced Carmelite.
Like Anton, she had a Latina accent. Her voice was a little rough, like Ellie's. I had the sense maybe she was older.
Hello, Donut. Hello, Donut.
The woman.
We have seen you both many times on the program. I am a discalced Carmelite.
Like Anton, she...
I don't know what that means.
The Catwoman chuckled softly.
I am a discalced Carmelite. It means I am a nun, yes.
Flavored nuns. Hold on, I feel like I might have gotten the discalcide. Discalced.
Discalced.
Sid. Okay, no, I got it right.
It means I am a nun, yes. Yes, but why are you half cat? Yes, but why are you a half cat?
She shrugged.
It seemed like the best option at the time. When we had the choices presented to us, it was the only race that gave me a charisma boost for my World Weaver spell, amongst others, and our game guide insisted it would allow... And our game guide insisted it would allow me to choose the Poet Laureate class, which it did. Plus, I always liked cats. We had several at the prison.
Prison. The word landed heavy in the silence between us. I re-examined the other two men. I could see it now. The two men were cons. She was a nun who'd possibly worked at the prison. I once again focused on Anton with his fugitive class and his two player-killer skulls. At this point, several crawlers had skulls, and the sight of one or two wasn't as terrifying. At this point,
New word.
At this point, several crawlers had skulls, and the sight of one or two wasn't as terrifying as it once was. Donut had one, Katya had 2, Imani had 12. That alone didn't mean anything. The real player killers had dozens. Still. God damn it, I thought. I hated this. I hated not trusting fellow humans.
One sec, guys.
I hated not trusting fellow humans. Let's see, where'd it go?
Then why did you choose a Havana Brown? It's hardly a proper breed for a nun, maybe a ragamuffin, or an Abyssinian. Certainly not a Persian, of course, but a Havana. That's like an accountant choosing to be in the body of an English Mastiff, or a professional bodybuilder picking a Yorkshire Terrier, unless you're trying to be edgy and ironic. Then why did you choose a Havana Brown? It's hardly a proper breed for a nun, maybe a ragamuffin, or an Abyssinian. Certainly not a Persian, of course, a Havana, ragamuffin, or an Abyssinian. Certainly not a Persian, of course, but a Havana. That's like an accountant choosing to be in the body of an English Mastiff, or a professional bodybuilder picking a Yorkshire Terrier, unless you're trying to be edgy and ironic.
Sister Inez looked at her own arm curiously.
I didn't get to choose. Is that what this breed is called? Havana Brown? It's just what happened. It's just what happened. Maybe it's because I'm Cuban.
Sorry.
Lies! Cuban. Lies! Cuban. Lies! Cuban. Lies!
Donut suddenly shouted. All of us jumped, even me.
The Havana Brown breed. The Havana Brown breed originated in England. It has no association with Cuba at all. Come on, Carl. Let's get out of here before they ply us with more filthy lies.
I put my hand on Donut's calm her just as Anton panic jerked his crossbow back up. His tough fixer was starting to crack. Sister Inez deftly caught the top of the crossbow as he yanked it up, keeping the bolt angled away. It was then, at that moment, that I finally understood who was really in charge of this group. Like I said, Donut.
Like I said, Donut, I did not choose what I look like.
Carl. Holy shit, Donut, chill. There's no way they let her choose what goddamned breed of cat she was. And nobody except you would know what a Havana... And nobody except you would know what a Havana... And nobody except you would know what a... And nobody except you would know that a Havana whatever doesn't come from Cuba. Donut.
Everybody knows that, Carl!
Carl, just be calm, okay? We need to figure out why they're scared of us. She patted Anton again on the shoulder.
Now we are all calm. Yes? Now we are all calm. Yes?
He grunted something inaudible. Look, I don't know why you're afraid of us, but the last thing either of us need is to be looking over our shoulders the whole time. I was hoping to find you guys so we could work together. We are always stronger together. But if you're not interested, we'll separate here. I held up a fist. We should at least get into each other's chat so we can talk in case of an emergency.
Your cat said she was going to kill us all when she met us.
Paz said, speaking for the first time. The armored man lifted a metal arm and pointed at Donut.
She said she was going to rip out our throats and feed us to danger dingoes and laugh while we drown to death in our own blood.
What? I asked, looking over at Donut. No, she didn't.
It wasn't danger dingoes,
Donut said indignantly.
it was brindle grubs, and I say that in confidence. And I said that in confidence to Anaconda and Sledgy. I mean, really. So now you're eavesdropping on my conversations? Carl, I told you Havanas are no good. Carl, I told you Havanas are no good. Carl, I told you Havanas are no good. Carl, I told you Havana.
What?
We went on a program at the beginning of the 6th floor.
Sister Inez said.
They showed us the clip.
Who the hell is Anaconda?
You know who Anaconda is, Carl. He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade. You know who Anaconda is, Carl. He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade in the Desperado Club. He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade in the He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade in the Desperado Club. He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade in the Desperado Club. Anaconda told me he'd never met a cat before, only cat girls, and I told him what I'd do if I ever met one. Anaconda told me he'd never met a cat before, only cat girls, and I told him what I'd do if I ever met one. Club. Anaconda told... He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade in the Desperado Club.
Sorry. Gotta get this
You
rhythm
know
right.
who Anaconda is, Carl. He's one of the lead dancers at the penis parade in the Desperado Club. Anaconda told me he'd never met a cat before, only cat girls, and I told him what I'd do if I ever met one.
See?
Paz said, his voice squeaking.
I said that ages ago. I mean, really. I can't be held accountable for everything I've ever said to a stripper. I also told Damascus Steele he was Mongo's new daddy the last time I was... I also told Damascus Steele he was Mongo's new daddy the last time I was there. Are you going to hold that against me too? A stripper. I also told Damascus...
Oh, God damn it, Donut. Were you drunk?
No, Carl.
Okay. Everyone needs to chill. Donut is not going to attack anyone. She said that because she always says stupid shit, but she didn't mean it. Did you, Donut?
I just don't understand why it was... I just don't understand why it was even allowed to be a race. I suppose I must get over it. It's not like I have a choice.
The three newcomers talked some more amongst themselves via chat. While they did, I delved back into my own messages. I'd been asking around if anybody knew these guys and if they could vouch for them. Katya revealed she'd been compiling a list of crawler names that weren't to be trusted, and they weren't on it. Katya revealed she'd been compiling a list of crawler names that weren't to be trusted, and they weren't on it. That didn't mean anything in itself, but it was a good sign. The only person who knew them directly was Serendilgor. Ren.
I don't know them well. I have Paz in my chat. Him and the other guys are cousins, and... Him and the other guy are cousins, and they're really protective of the third one. Him and the other guy are cousins, and they're really protective of the third one. The nun woman? Their party was bigger, but they had a rough time on the 6th floor. They're good friends with Osvaldo's group, but I don't think they share a guild with him. They're mostly loners. I know that Anton guy with the fugitive class is really good with the crossbow, and that he'd had to kill 2 guys from his own group on the 1st or 2nd floor after they'd tried to kill them. I know that Anton guy with the fugitive class is really good with the crossbow, and that he'd had to kill 2 guys from his own group on the 1st or 2nd floor after they'd tried to kill the nun for some reason. Don't know the story. Paz also has a self-destruct spell, one that kills himself if he casts it, kinda like that bomb everybody knows you have. But it's a directional blast, so you probably shouldn't fight them.
Directional blasts were insanely powerful and rare. I'd been chasing the ability to magically direct blasts for a while now, but I still hadn't been able to find something to mimic the ability. Carl. Okay, thanks. Donut.
Of course the cheetah lady knows them.
Imani.
I have someone on my list who says they were in the same bubble as Quan CH on the 5th floor. I have someone on my list who says they were in the same bubble as Quan CH on the 5th floor, and that they didn't get along. So maybe you guys can bond over that. If you really want to work together, you can help us capture our first squad member.
Sister Inez said.
There's a lot of them on the beach. We tried to fight one, and it almost took Paws out. We'd had to kill it. If you help us capture one. We'll help you get one too.
What are they?
Seals. Monk seals.
Woo. All right, where are we at? We're on page 71, which is we're just about 10% in. What time is it? It is 12:11. How many pages in this chapter? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I'm going to get about 2 more pages here, and then I'll have to stop. Because I got to have some kind of food before my meeting. But you guys have been fantastic. Thank you for coming to hang out with me while I narrate some more Dungeon Crawler Carl 6. We hit... Looks like our peak was like 180 people today. Not bad at all. Thanks so much again for all of you who attended and who will continue to attend. But yeah, don't forget we have our other stretch goal, 1,500 simultaneous listeners, and you guys get to have a donut tattoo design contest for my butt. So yeah, be sure to, maybe you guys can like get together, organize some kind of campaign that'll get more people listening. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to get notifications. Go to our website, soundbooththeater.com, to sign up for our newsletter or to check out Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon in cinematic audio. Checking that out will give you an idea of what the Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion tunnel will be like. That is also a full cast sound effects and music production, not called cinematic audio for legal reasons. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks a bunch. I'm gonna read a few more pages and I'm gonna get out of here.
Chapter 6.
I've never been a fan of pun-based naming conventions, Carl,
Donut said, as the 5 of us trekked across the road toward the rocky northern beach. Another distant crash echoed from the city. Cars no longer came from either direction on the freeway, but people still walked up and down the sidewalks. Nobody was on the rocky beach here, instead opting for the beaches much further to the east and west. It's cheap and it lessens the...
It's cheap, and it lessens the danger of everything around us.
You were literally just talking about a stripper named Damascus Steel.
I love that guy. Strippers are supposed to have names like that. There's Anaconda, Damascus Steel, Don Quixote, the author Steve Rowland, Gluteus Max, and a bunch of others. Don Quixote, the author Steve Rowland, Gluteus Max, and a bunch of others. Damn it. There's Anaconda, Damascus Steel, Don Quixote, the author Steve Rowland, Gluteus Max, and a bunch of others. Have you ever gone into the bitches' room? I bet they also have names like that. And don't forget Juicebox. But that's different, and you know it. That's their names, not the name of their species. Quite frankly, it's embarrassing. Actually, that reminds me. Last time we were there, Damascus said he wanted to meet you.
Anton kept a wary eye on us as we walked, but everything had relaxed. The more Donut yammered on, the more clear it was that she was mostly harmless. The sense of distrust was still there, and it would be for a while, but it appeared both sides had spent some time talking to others and getting an idea of the people we really were. Despite them being former prisoners, my gut told me these guys were all right. I didn't necessarily trust them, but they didn't appear to wish us harm. Not as long as they had Sister Inez keeping them in line. Them being convicts by itself didn't mean much to me. Half the dudes I worked with before the collapse were ex-cons. Because there were no cars, Donut released Mongo, who jumped upon the newcomers with typical gusto. The three crawlers were all terrified at first, but they quickly warmed to the dinosaur before... The three crawlers were all terrified at first, but they quickly warmed to the dinosaur when they saw he was like a giant dog. Mongo was fascinated not with the Catwoman, but Paz, the armored Santero, which I gathered was some type of warrior cleric. Mongo pushed his face right up against the shining breastplate and looked at himself in the reflection, which pushed the larger man over onto his ass as... Mongo pushed his face right up against the shining breastplate and looked at himself in the reflection, which pushed the large man over onto his ass with a ridiculously loud crash. The man fell like an upset turtle. I was afraid they'd be angry, but Paws howled with laughter. Anton and I each grabbed an arm to pull him up. Donut, seeing that Mongo approved of them, had also eased her suspicions. Of the two men, at least. She continued to make comment after incredulous comment and chat about various parts of Sister Inez's anatomy. She continued...
Look up S.L. Roland. That's the Steve Roland Matt is talking about.
She continued to make comment after incredulous comment in chat about various parts of Sister Inez's anatomy.
Monk seals.
Donut muttered again.
I mean, really.
I don't care if it's a play on words. They sound pretty awesome if we can catch one. We just need to be careful.
They're a lot faster than they look,
Sister Inez said as we crossed over a small fence leading to the rocky beach. We'd walked a quarter mile east toward a larger section of beach where the seals... were more spread out. I could hear their loud shouting and fighting and barking as we approached. Again, this was less mythological creature and more something stupid, but according to Sister Inez, these guys were tough. And intelligent. And great tanks.
Real Caribbean monk seals are extinct,
Paz said as we approached.
They used to be everywhere, but we hunted them out. My papa told me that. Was he a scientist?
Donut asked. She now sat upon Mongo's back, who had in turn attached himself to the side of Paz.
No, he worked on a sugar plantation.
Paz said. Anton, who'd done the most talking when we met. Was mostly silent. The man was always watching, always looking around, always alert.
So, what were you in for?
Donut asked Paz. The armored man clanged his way over the fence. He sounded like a bag of pots and pans being shaken up and down as he moved. It would be impossible for him to sneak up on anybody. He grinned at Donut, revealing a missing tooth.
Sister Inez, what's rule number 1? Today is a new day. Today is a new day.
Sister Inez said.
We don't worry about yesterday because we can't change the past. So, a weird sex crime then?
Paz laughed. Anton did not.
It is considered rude to ask about one's past. It is considered rude to ask about one's past.
Sister Inez said, speaking gently but firmly. She suddenly reminded me of Miriam Dom, and an unexpected wave of sadness washed over me. Donut was about to say something snarky to the nun, and I interrupted. Have you guys gotten any cards yet? I explained the utility card we'd received.
No, we've only killed 2 things since we've gotten here. No,
Sister Inez said.
We've only killed 2 things since we've gotten here, and neither had anything like that.
I nodded. That was too bad. I was hoping the utility cards would drop with every kill. What do each of your classes do? Ahead, a single seal sat by itself on a rock near the water. It appeared to be asleep. We cautiously approached.
I am a poet laureate,
Sister Inez said. Donut made a dismissive grunt.
I had the option for that once. It's a bard class. Mordecai said I shouldn't pick it because it required I pick a patron, and I did not want to do that. I prefer to offer my talents to everyone, not just an elite few, though I was a bard on the last floor. A legendary diva. That meant I was so good I didn't need a patron. I'm a master telephone psychic now. Yes, I am a bard healer. Wait, you're a what? Do you even sing?
Donut asked, ignoring the question.
I sing. I had a concert recently. No, I recite poems and prayers.
Donut.
No wonder these guys weren't in the top 50. Who wants to listen to a fake cat recite stupid Who wants to listen to a fake cat recite stupid church poetry all day? 50. Who wants to listen to...
Carl. Yeah, it'd be almost as bad as listening to a real cat sing.
all day.
Carl. Donut.
That was really mean, Carl. Paz is a santero. That's a necromancer cleric. He also has a lot of healing and protection spells. Mostly I just curl up on the ground and let the bad guys hit me,
Paz said. I looked at Anton. Sister Inez patted the tattooed man on the shoulder affectionately.
A fugitive is a rogue class, I am told. He's good at finding traps and escaping through tough... A fugitive is a rogue class, I am told. He's good at finding traps and escaping tough situations.
I suspected there was much more to it than that. And what about that deity you guys worship? Ogun? Paz opened his mouth to respond, but Sister Inez interrupted him.
Only Anton and Paz worship him. I cannot bring myself to worship a false god. He has many silly rules, but he always allows each of them several protection spells. He would keep the 3 of us safe if the princess really wanted to rip our throats out. And what about your god, this Emberis? He takes all of our money, but sometimes people catch on fire when Carl punches them. It doesn't happen very often, though. I have many more fire spells.
The fact Sister Inez even knew I worshipped a god told me she had a similar ability to my own. We crouched down and slowly approached the lone seal.
They don't seem to have ranged attacks that we've seen.
Sister Inez whispered.
But they are fast and fight dirty. We have to get close to stick the flag in. We tried fixing the flag to a crossbow bolt, but it didn't work. You have to be physically touching it when it's shoved into the monster. We lost the flag.
Hang on a second, I said, and I pulled the Bahamas book from my inventory and started to flip through it. I hadn't really looked at it yet. Prepotente seemed to think there would be some overlap. I moved to the index in the back. There were a lot of ridiculous monsters listed mixed in with some... There were a lot of ridiculous monsters listed mixed in with some that sounded terrifying. The book separated them as common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary, mythic, and unique. There were lots of birds and bats and fish. I didn't see a monk seal listed. I sighed and put the book away. I'd examine it more closely later. Sister Inez pulled a small flag from her inventory and handed it to me. I blinked a few times, trying to figure out the image on the flag. It said, Team Sister Inez on it, and it was a blue field with a black and white embroidered blob on it. Donut audibly scoffed at the quality. It looked like the image was maybe one of those ball and chain shackles, but the metal ball had something on it, like maybe a nun's habit. I shook my head. The design was almost as dumb as our own flag.
I should warn you.
Sister Inez said.
You might get a quest when you examine the seal.
I grunted as I turned my attention to the gray, slick monster. It looked like a regular seal. We had all sorts of similar animals in the Puget Sound, from the common harbor seal to the much larger elephant seal and the loud-ass California sea lion. This guy was pretty big, but he was nowhere near the size of a sea lion and not even close to the size of an elephant seal. He was maybe 6 or 7 feet long, and probably... He was maybe 6 or 7 feet long, and probably weighed about 400 pounds. He just sat there, passed out on the rock.
Yago! Monk Seal Picket Sentry. Level 70. Ah, the monk seal. They're seals. And they're monks. Get it? Get it? Yeah, anyway, these guys are more enthusiastic about their jobs than a dentist with glossophilia.
Glossophilia. A fetish for one is obsessed with another person's tongue. That's good.
Yeah, anyway, these guys are more enthusiastic about their jobs than a dentist with glossophilia. In case you don't know what that means, what I'm saying is these guys really love fighting stuff. It's their religion. Trained in the deadly art of Caribbean Kung Fu, the monk seal sentries. Trained in the deadly art of Caribbean Kung Fu, the monk seal sentries' sacred duty is to protect the coast and hunting grounds from the impending invasion of their dread enemy, the red Maniceros land crabs, masters of Juego de Mani.
Juego? Juego?
Juego.
Yeah, Juego. Let's get Maniceros.
Maniceros.
Mani.
The red Maniceros land crabs, masters of Juego de Mani. Masters of Juego de Mani. Be careful, you don't want to get involved in that impossible conflict.
What is Mani? Anybody know what Juego de Mani means?
crabs, masters of Juego de Money. Be careful.
Crabs. Scratching, pinching crabs. The rats of the sea. I hated crabs. A moment of silence passed, but I could sense the electricity in the air.
New quest, the Chowder War. Oh, you're getting involved whether you like it or not. The monk seals. The monk seals. The red Maniceros The monk seals. The red Maniceros land crabs. Why am I having such a hard time with that? The monk seals. The red Maniceros land crabs. War is brewing, as it often does in these parts. Every season, the land crabs emerge from their forests to attend their sex parties in the oceans surrounding these lands. The monk seals hold the ocean sacred, and the very act of spilling so much crab chowder into their holy waters is considered a sacrilege most foul. This is no minor inconvenience, and it's not just a few little clouds of the batter either. There are a lot of these crabs, like a lot. And when they let go, man, it's like a Category 5 jizz storm down there. Fish die. The food becomes scarce. The baby monk seals and their food supplies are literally getting bukkakied to death with gallons of weird, chunky crab splooge. And no, that's not a sentence even I thought I'd ever mutter. Would you want that for your own children? Nope. Didn't think so. I didn't think so. It's disgusting, and it must be stopped at all costs. For the red Maniceros land crabs, it's a matter of survival. It's not their fault they can only have babies in the ocean. It's not their fault they've had to wait a whole year to let go. They don't want to do it there. They can barely swim. Water is a terrible lubricant, and to make matters worse, these psychotic seals are always losing their minds every time they get anywhere near the coastline. So, as a method of self-defense, they've learned the deadly art of Juego de Money. Choose a side. Put an end to this conflict, one way or another. Reward? You will receive a platinum quest box.
All right, guys, that is the quest. Oh no, crap. Oh, okay, good. Where'd it go? Oh shit. Where did my Ableton go? What? Okay, I'll figure that out later. Thank you guys one more time for coming and hanging out with me. We are files deleted, yeah. So yeah, that is the end for today. I will pick back up right here from after they found out what their quest was between the jizzing crabs and the kung fu seals. So thanks one more time for coming and hanging out. Check the description for all the links in the world that you may want to click on. Including soundbooththeater.com, including the Patreon for Matt Dinneman, and lots of other things. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and watch out for tomorrow's stream. It is starting noon Central, not 10 a.m. tomorrow. So much easier to make it, I'm sure. And again, don't forget to plan an invasion of the stream by 1,500 or more viewers at some point if you want this competition to happen. This is Sound Booth Theater Live, the cold reads for Dungeon Crawler Carl 6 Part 2, and we'll see you tomorrow.